Oh my god, Mats, the game looks so good. When are you releasing it?
Yeah, when are you releasing it?
Honestly guys, development has been great. I think I can release this game in like 2... If you're new here, I'm Mats, and for almost a year now, my team and I have been building what we think could be the first anime FPS game on Roblox. And before this video starts, if you haven't seen my year recap yet, I'd really recommend you watch that first, because it gives you the full context on how we got here. But now, let's take it back to the beginning of February. I honestly thought our Roblox FPS was getting close, but after our first real test session, it became obvious that even though the game was working, some really important parts of it just weren't good enough. So instead of forcing progress, my team and I spent an entire month trying to fix the core of our Roblox game. Our first important addition is training mode. We already have this training area modeled and finally got around to implementing it. And honestly, this was something the game really needed. Because when you're building a character-based FPS, people need a place where they can actually understand what each character feels like before deciding who they want to try and unlock. The visual effects on the targets and dummies also came out really nice, and overall it just makes the whole mode feel way more satisfying than expected. But training mode wasn't the main problem we were trying to solve. In our first test session, only 3 out of 6 characters were fully playable, because we still hadn't finished the ultimate cutscenes for the others, so naturally getting all 6 characters ready became one of our first priorities. But that first test also exposed a much bigger issue. At the time, everyone had to use normal matchmaking just to play the game. That worked fine, but it also made testing way more awkward than it needed to be. A lot of people wanted to go directly against specific people, but there was no real way to do that. You either had to queue up with friends and hope the matchmaking just worked out, or join random matches and end up against whoever the system gave you. There was no actual way to choose who you wanted to fight, and once we saw that happening, it became really obvious that before the next test, we needed to fix it. So we built a grand new feature, duels. We expanded the current lobby, key modeled the whole area, and we tested a few UI ideas, adding a nice effect when stepping onto paths, and made sure that once one side is full, nobody else can enter it. And in the end, the system came out exactly how we wanted. Now, you can choose anything from a 1v1 all the way up to a 4v4, step onto the pad with the people you want to play with, and the game will automatically split both sides into teams so you can fight directly against each other. This was probably the biggest system we worked on during February, and definitely the one that took the most time. But we managed to finish it right before our second major test session on February the 14th. And honestly, this test session went really well. There were barely any new bugs, we got a lot of solid feedback, and the duels mode worked pretty much flawlessly. A lot of people used it straight away, and I even got to play multiple 4v4s with my devs on my own team against some of our testers, which was genuinely really fun. So at that point, you'd think everything was moving perfectly. We were about to buy our first mansion, our supercars. This is actually where we ran into our biggest problem yet. Because even though the tests were going really well, we realized something super important. We'd been so focused on getting the game out quickly that some parts of it still didn't feel right. Our UI designer X brought this up first. He pointed out that there were some areas that we were either completely missing or just not handling well enough. And after talking it through as a team, we realized he was right. So instead of ignoring it and pushing towards a release anyway, we gave ourselves even more work and decided to redesign major parts of the game. We narrowed it down to 3 things we had to fix. The first one was gameplay depth. Right now, we have 6 characters in the game, and each one has a primary, a secondary, and an ultimate. But if we want the gameplay to feel genuinely good long term, then every character needs to feel properly distinct. And one of the best ways to do that is by adding more unique mechanics and more depth to each kit. This is something that's going to take a lot of time, but we've already started. For example, we added a new mechanic for Aurelia. We modeled this large ice shard, and now if you right click while using her secondary axe, it'll spawn underneath your feet. So you can catch yourself in midair, create ramps, and move around in way more creative ways. We also made changes to Lucifer's ultimate. Before, it was basically this melee dog that bites and deals damage, but it just wasn't really useful from range. So now if you right click, you can use it to spawn near opponents. Both of these changes add extra mobility and utility, and more important, they make the characters feel more unique, and that's exactly the direction we want to keep pushing. The second big issue was progression. Originally, we were planning to launch the game in a really simple state where you can roll for different characters and that's basically it. But the more we thought about it, the more we realized it just wouldn't be enough, because once someone got their favorite character, well, what are they actually playing for? If there's nothing else to unlock, no cosmetics to chase, and no long-term goals, then a lot of players just won't have a reason to come back. So we made a pretty important decision. Releasing without collectibles is just not an option. Now obviously there's a balance to this. We want enough collectibles to make the game feel rewarding at launch, but not so many that development gets slowed down. So I commissioned some celebration emotes. These will play during the victory cutscene for the winning team, and let's be honest, players love emoting after a win. So that already feels like something players are actually going to want. But even more important than that, and also much more time consuming, is skins. Because right now, with only 6 characters in the game, a lot of players look really similar during matches. We want people to be able to unlock skins for their favorite characters so that they can actually stand out. We're also planning to split skins into different rarity levels. Common skins will be mostly smaller visual changes that only affect the character model, but rarer skins will go a lot further and also include weapon skins. A lot of our time over the next few weeks is going to go into this system. We're already working on skins, and that also means remodeling some of the existing hair assets so that they look better overall and work better for future cosmetics too. The good news is that we already had the shop and inventory UI designed, and after a few tweaks, that's now implemented as well. The third major thing we changed was testing itself. Up until now, our test sessions have basically been open sessions where anyone can just join and play. That was useful early on, but at this point it really isn't the best way to test the game anymore. So from now on, we're moving to closed test session only. That means only players with the tester role will be able to access the game. And if you want that role, all you need to do is be active in our Discord community. Show up regularly, engage with the server, and over time we'll be handing out tester roles. So if that sounds interesting to you, it's definitely worth joining early. And outside of all those bigger changes, we also added some other nice stuff during this month. Key started working on a brand new map, which we'll show properly in a later devlog once it's further along. He also modeled new leaderboards, X handled the UI for them, and Sinfully Frosty, basically Sinfully's little brother, programmed the full system. So now we have working kill and win streak leaderboards in game. And to finish off the month, Key also modeled a background environment for our agent selection screen. Sinfully programmed it, including a really nice roof transition, and it's now the place where you can view all the agents you own and all the ones you can roll for. We polished that screen further by giving the character some poses and adding a slight floating movement so the whole thing feels less static. We still have a lot left to do, but the game feels a lot closer to what we originally wanted it to be. And if you're watching at this point, then you're exactly the kind of person I need feedback from. We've been thinking about adding some destructible elements to some of the stronger weapons, just to make them feel even more powerful. Obviously, the blocks shown here are way too large. This version is definitely too much, but I'm really curious to see what you think about the idea itself. A lot of anime battleground games use destruction in some kind of way, so it does feel like something that's really interesting if we can handle it properly. Definitely let me know what you think about this in the comments, and also don't forget to subscribe to this channel and my other channel where I'll be posting more detailed development content soon. So yeah, that's it. See you in the next video.